Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Slam podcast. It's been is it 2 weeks? 2 weeks we've had off.
2.5 weeks.
Well, the university's essentially finished, so we're free to crack on really. Champions League lads, semi-finals, first legs are done.
Yeah, crazy game, man. That Real Madrid City game, like it's clearly the two best teams in the competition are going at each other because when they play, they just trust each other so much. Even when they're fully marked, they still play that pass, and the pass still gets off. Like the way Modric just runs around that pitch doing little flicks and setting up plays.
How's he doing it?
I don't know.
That is
Got a Ballon d'Or, didn't he? Was that 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
I think it was like 2018, wasn't it?
Was it 2018?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
because
like
it was
5
after the
years
World
ago.
Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5 years ago.
His longevity is mad. The fact that he left Tottenham, didn't he, when he was he 30?
He was over 30, I'm pretty sure.
Past 30,
Yeah.
like up by a way when he left
And he
Spurs.
hadn't won a single trophy.
Let's calm down here. I don't think he was that old.
He was like 29,
100%. He was like,
something
I think he was 32 when he left
I think he was
Spurs.
32.
There's no way he's
I'm
32.
willing to put money. Modric was
So
32
that was
when he
fine.
left
How old is he now?
He's like 39.
Yeah.
No.
He's old. He's not young, mate.
Look at it. 2 minutes
He's
into the
not
podcast.
young. He's a fine wine, bro.
One of them. We've been on 2.5 minutes and we're already
0 trophies at Tottenham, and now I don't know how many trophies he's won in his career.
I think he's about 27 when he moved from Spurs.
Right, he's 37 now.
Right, so and it was... When did he move?
Joined Real Madrid in
9 years ago.
All right, okay.
It was actually 11 years ago. So he's 26.
Right, so yeah, we completely blew that out of proportion. But
26. Right.
right, he was 26 when he left
Yeah.
Spurs.
Which you think is his prime, wouldn't you?
That doesn't sound right to me.
That
I
doesn't
swear
sound
he
right
was
to me.
older.
I thought he was
I
like
swear
30
he
when he left
older.
Spurs, but
Not a chance.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a mad game, and the maddest part of it for me was that they both scored when the other team was better.
Yeah.
Like Man City.
Man City controlled that
battered
first half, really.
Madrid in that first half, I think.
I think Madrid are going to find it hard at the Etihad, to be honest.
I think they're going to struggle. I think they struggled against Chelsea, and Chelsea have been poor. And I think a City team at the dominance at the Etihad they've had at the Etihad, I think it's going to be difficult to beat them. City are like 70% like more likely to go through to the final than Real Madrid.
Do you think the actual final itself, I mean, it looks like it's going to be Inter, but do you think it's going to be one-sided?
No.
Do you reckon there's any chance?
No, I think it's going to be a proper game either way. I think Inter Milan they've got a good squad. Like they've got some decent players in that team. I mean, obviously they do. They're 2-0 up in the first leg of a semi-final of the Champions League.
To be fair,
and
I think
also
AC
Guardiola is the overthinking god, bro. If there's a way to overthink that game and give Inter an advantage, he'll do it. Like he seems to be cursed.
It's just like this season. I feel like they are bound to win it eventually, and I feel like this is probably the prime opportunity.
This is the prime City. This is like the City team that has like taken my eyes the most. I'm just like, wow, this City team is
I think City are worse this season than last season. I think City played better football last season.
They might play better football, but they're not. I
think they were a better side last season.
I think this City team would have beaten the City team last season.
They've hit a groove at the minute.
Yeah.
Where they just seem.
But they can always do that. They can always hit like a 12-game win streak. We know they're capable of that. But I think by Man City standards, Man City are a worse team than last season.
They're a much more exciting team. They're much more fun.
They've got
team
that
to watch.
absolute Norwegian robot up front, which like makes things easier
Can't
for
hurt.
them. But
Yeah, I think this year it's looking like it just has to be their year.
Did you see Alfie Haaland get kicked out the Bernabeu?
throwing food at Real Madrid fans or something, and then security.
It was absolutely.
What a guy?
But
Was it him and Schmeichel up there? Was it Peter Schmeichel he was with?
I don't think so.
It's just some massive blonde guy. I just assumed it was a Schmeichel.
But if I was Erling Haaland, I'd be so fucking annoyed.
I wouldn't give a fuck.
I'd be so annoyed. But like, what are you doing?
No, I'd be like, yes, Dad. Go on, lad.
I'm
lad.
playing in the Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid, and you're acting like a blurt in the stand. Like, do you not?
Because he's proud. He's gassed.
It would do my head in. That would
You
really.
I'll be alright with it.
You've got enough on your plate as it is. You don't need your dad being a dick.
Isn't he like his
doesn't even
agent
know
as
he's
well?
doing it.
Well, he's not his agent, but isn't he part of like Haaland's fucking his team? And it's like, how are you representing him when you're doing that?
He has a big say, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, Haaland's like known for being a guy out in the town. He's in clubs all the time, wearing his trackie, giant, just walking around town like he's a normal guy. Because he is. But he's
I
also
don't know.
just
I
a
don't know what I
freak.
think of that. Everyone was like, look at him, what a legend. And I was just looking at it like, that's a bit weird, that, to be fair.
I'm fine with it. He's gassed. He was
A
enjoying
grown-ass
his
man getting thrown out of a box.
Yeah,
when
but
your son's playing in the game.
But that's also Real Madrid fans are going to do anything they can. If he's winding them up slightly, they're going to throw it out of massive proportion just to try and get it thrown out of there.
So do you reckon City going to do the job then?
Yeah, I think it's on for the treble, to be fair. I think they're going to get the treble.
See, I'm stuck with this weird thing at the minute that I think for this FA Cup final we've got against them, we'll have a much better chance against them if they're in the Champions League final.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
But then
definitely.
There's that feeling that, well, if they're in the Champions League final, then the treble's on, then there's more pressure.
If they're
on us.
thinking, it go two ways. They could think
Yeah.
we're on for the treble here.
Yeah.
We've got, but
So I'm really torn.
I do think it plays into your.
I
I do think it plays into your hands if they're in the Champions League final.
It definitely
'Cause
does.
Yeah.
that's where your preparation's going to be predominantly. Obviously, I'm not saying they're going to dismiss the FA Cup, but they've not won the Champions League. That's Guardiola's.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
I mean, what is the period of time between? Is it a week? Is it a week?
It's close, isn't
It's
it? Is
usually
it?
about a week, I think.
Yeah.
So, I
And
don't know.
Pep likes to overthink as well. If he thinks he's got a bigger game in the next week, then he'll like rest so many players. For
But
no
does he
reason.
do that
Need
when
rest.
it's like a National Cup final? Because to be honest, like I know a lot of managers, especially the top teams, like Klopp's had a lot of murder for not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
But I think once you're in that latter stages, you've got to like.
Well,
I can't see him putting out like a second string team.
No
The
chance.
thing is, though, City could do that and
Still, give
still
United a great
obliterate.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
I mean, that's the question, I guess, is does Pep think Man United are a bigger threat, or Inter Milan or AC Milan are a bigger threat? Who's the harder game? Because
Yeah,
I think it's probably one of the Milan clubs with the form United are in at the moment.
to be fair, I know they're obviously in a Champions League semi-final and we're not. None of our teams are. I think AC Milan are really bad.
We already beat AC Milan twice this season.
I think they're an
Under
awful.
Graham
I think they're
Potter.
garbage. And actually that point got brought up that this awful Chelsea team beat Milan
Yeah.
and everyone was shocked. Milan
That was
aren't
a
good.
great performance.
They're
We
not a
looked
good
so
team.
good
They're
in
not.
that game.
Well, sorry, they're a fantastic club, but that Milan team is like way out of its depth in that semi-final.
And that's why those Napoli players must be thinking, like, how do we get beat by these? And
Well,
the competition's there for the.
I thought Napoli would have gone all the way there,
Yeah.
to be honest. Especially
At least
they've
in the
absolutely
final, yeah.
pissed the Serie A this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
I think that was to their downfall, though, wasn't it? Because it's almost like they took the foot off the
Lost
gas.
steam.
To be
Well,
honest, I
think
don't think
Osimhen
anyone
got
in
injured as
Naples
well.
would be asked if you asked them.
Yeah,
no,
no,
there's
the
some
city's going
mad
crazy.
scenes over there, weren't there?
The amount of blackface I've seen of like blackface and then like a little
Osimhen.
yellow throat. Well, it's not funny, is it? It's racist, but you know.
I suppose the one thing I wanted to talk about was this idea I've got that now I can't decide whether the away goals thing or not is a good idea. And part of the reason I'm not sure if it's a good idea that they scrapped it is because of if this City game goes to extra time in the second leg, City have a massive advantage there
Yeah.
because they're playing an extra half an hour at home.
Yeah, 30 minutes in front of a home crowd.
And in the past, you've always got that, well, Real Madrid have got 30 minutes to score an extra away goal. So it's sort of balanced out a bit, well, whereas now, the City have just got a clear advantage, really. So,
Yeah.
what do
I
you
still
of that?
think the away goals rule is better off being scrapped because otherwise you're fighting for a consolidation goal. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to win the game. Whereas you should be really going out there trying to win.
Yeah.
That was
Not
my
a
exact
draw.
thing. Too many managers were setting up when that away goal rule was there to not to win the game, but
To get one goal and
to
hold
get
it.
a goal and
Yeah.
then damage limitation. And it was just like, don't get me wrong, there were some amazing situations where teams have had to score so many goals to go through and like comebacks, and it generated really good football and good moments. But I think it killed a lot of like really good, what should have been really good Champions League ties by, as you say, managers are like, let's just pip one and sit back here, take a one goal lead.
Well, I
home.
remember every time we'd play an away leg, I'd be like, we just need a goal and then we can just like try and stop them scoring rather than trying to get as many goals as possible. But then it comes in like whoever the second team is to play at home has a massive advantage in knockout games because if it does finish as a draw, they've got an extra 30 minutes in front of their fans. They've got penalties in front of their fans, whereas the away team is on
That's
the other
just
side of
like
Europe.
that. To me, that falls on the look of the draw in terms of who's home first, who's away first. You know what I mean? But I do think it's better off without it. It's just it's more incentive to win the game in the 90 minutes, or across the two legs even. But yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. You get that extra time in front of your home fans, but then
What's the other option? A third leg in a neutral ground?
yeah,
It's just
like
not
what they
gonna
used to
work.
do years
Yeah.
ago in like FA Cups and stuff, where you just have a replay, then another replay, then another
Just
replay.
keep going, yeah.
I suppose you can't do that, can you?
Plus,
That's-
extra time is the
Or
most exciting
the
part of
alternative
knockout
is
game, like.
what Champions League from the semi-final onwards, you play it in neutral stadiums.
Yeah, like
So you have like
that's
a
same as FA Cup,
semi-final host, and well, they did it in didn't they do it? Was it during COVID? Didn't they play the semis in Portugal?
Yeah, everyone went
Yeah,
to Portugal, didn't they?
I think so. I mean, the final was supposed to be in like Istanbul, and then they changed it.
They
to
changed
Porto
it
'cause it was
to
closer.
Porto because of COVID, and then
And
I swear they
realistically,
played the
could've just
semis.
changed it
Yeah,
to,
they
like,
did. It
Wembley.
was just one-off semis, wasn't
They
it?
did it as like a mini tournament, didn't they? So they could all sort of isolate within like a bubble.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That's what the Milan games are doing, aren't they? They're just playing it in the San Siro, neutral ground.
But in fact, that's a shout, isn't it? Like, obviously, it's you can't avoid it because they both play at the same stadium. But like Man City, Real Madrid, they're traveling back and forward.
Yeah.
They're both playing in their home stadium. So like, obviously they're playing each other, but it's like there's an advantage to be had there, isn't there? Do you know what I mean?
There's you can look for an advantage, anything like.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But you can't really change it. I mean, I feel like it works well having 30 minutes in the second leg stadium. Like that's what football is. How it works.
I do think.
Just don't let it go to extra time. If you're that scared of being in an away stadium for an extra half an hour, don't let it go to extra time.
That's it. Win the game, but
goals.
don't get it. Yeah. The other thing I sort of me and Shay spoke about yesterday, and I know we brought up before, but it's nitpicking. Like I sound like Pep Guardiola moaning here, but like I don't get why if your first leg of the semi is on a Tuesday, the week after you play Wednesday, and the Wednesday play Tuesday, because that
you've already
one set of teams has less prep time, and they're playing against a team that's had the same amount of prep time, but when you go through, if you go through to the final, you've played more games in a shorter period of time than the other team, which is minimal, I know, and it's nitpicky.
You're nitpicking, Rev. I'm nitpicking. They're playing this. They're playing the same team.
Why do they? Why is that a thing? Why is that how they do it?
I just thought one reason might be that they're trying to give. So if you play on a Tuesday and then you play on a Wednesday, they're trying to give teams the same amount of time after the weekend. If you get me, so both semi-finals have just a day after the weekend.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a valid shout. After your domestic games of the league,
right now.
Yeah. So your actual recovery time before your European game ends up being the same, doesn't it? Right. Do you know what? You've instantly taught me round.
I don't think even major corporations like UEFA really care about that. I think they're more interested in fan viewership. I think they're more likely to get more fans if they change the day.
There must be a reason that they do it.
Yeah, but I reckon it's just TV numbers. Viewing figures just tend to be higher if like you do one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday, because sometimes people's schedules.
I now can't see another. You've just shat all over me. I know. Yeah, that makes so much sense. A written apology to UEFA. Sound.
Well, should we bring it back to England? Because the relegation is heating up right now. Everton, I don't know where that win against Brighton came from, but has it saved them? Is it enough?
I think Everton will stay up now. I do.
It's a massive result, wasn't it?
It's a huge result.
So unexpected. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Obviously, they play City next. And, from a realistic point of view, Everton getting something there is unlikely, although...
Yeah.
I think I've got a little inkling that they might, simply because City can now afford to lose a game. As we've already spoke about, they've got huge fixtures to prepare for.
Yeah.
Everton need to win. Need to win. And I wouldn't dismiss them getting something there. But then, it's so close. Like,
that's when you first said it, like Everton could get something against Man City. I was like, no fucking chance. But then, Sean Dyche is great at playing against a big team and getting a result because he has no like expectations on him, and he has no worry of just sitting back and just springing it on them. And that's something Guardiola might struggle with, because Everton can be so compact, and then Dwight McNeil can just turn into prime Ronaldo.
I do think if Everton can make it as messy and horrible and just a fight against City, maybe dice it up. Not necessarily kick a few players, but make it a nasty game, make it a contest. If it gets to like 70 minutes and it's sitting at 0-0, Guardiola's going to be looking at it going, hang on, I might have to pull Haaland here because I can't miss that. Yeah. I might have to pull...
But that's the thing, though. You pull Haaland, you put on Julian Alvarez. Like, it's not really a problem,
That's what I mean. Their depth is stupendous. But
I think Goodison will be bouncing after the result, to be fair.
Yeah. I don't think Everton will be like, we actually could stay up here. Yeah. We just need to get 100%. A point against City.
But then, you can't take your eye off like Leeds and Leicester either. I mean, we play Leicester next. Obviously, I think both teams need a result, to be honest, which I think lines up to be an absolute cracker. But I mean, our last two games have been horrendous from a neutral point of view to watch. They've been absolutely shocking. But I think that'll be a good game. I think we'll do it because, as we'll come on to in a minute with the top 4 race, but Leicester, I'm not sure what Leicester's running actually is. I know Everton's is fairly hard, isn't it, to be honest?
Yeah. I mean, every game in the Premier League
I think they got
is
Bournemouth.
difficult, isn't it? You can't really...
Everton played Bournemouth on the last day as
anyone.
well, by the way, which will be a huge game.
Yeah, Newcastle and Liverpool, they've still got to play, and then West Ham.
Which you see,
Leicester
have got a hard run. I mean, to be honest, I think as it stands, I think it's probably going to be Leeds, Leicester, Southampton that go.
Yeah, well, if Southampton lose at the weekend, they're down,
Yeah.
aren't they? And they just...
There's 9 points available. They need 8
Yeah.
to catch Everton, and that's assuming Everton lose games. So I think Southampton are gone.
Oh yeah, they're fucked.
But the thing is with Southampton, though, is they've got such a weird... Like, they've got a very young, very good team. And they've gotten results over Chelsea this season. They've gotten results over Arsenal this season. I'm pretty sure they took 6 points off both Chelsea and Arsenal. And obviously against Chelsea, it's not saying much this season. But they're capable of getting results. I don't understand why they're so bad.
Beat
City in the Cup.
League
Like,
Cup.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad to see them where they are because like they've been in the Prem now a fair few years, haven't they?
Yeah.
Consistently.
but it just shows one bad season and you're out. Like the level of the Prem is so high.
At the
if
same
you
time,
slip up, you're gone.
They haven't. There's that argument, but at the same time, Southampton haven't developed. Even when they've been decent, they haven't developed.
These young players with so high potential.
Whereas, look at Brighton this season, for example. I know Southampton had that one year. Didn't they get into the Europa League or
Yeah, under Poch they were touching.
But look at Brighton this season, like what they've done with their behind the staffing and the manager's gone, the Zerbi's come in, the new system, and they're flying. They've developed and they're building on it. And even if they sell a few players, I think they'll be fine. But Southampton haven't, and that's why that's where they are.
In the past, though. They have in the past. They've bought in people like Lallana. I mean, you should know. You've signed most of their good players.
Exactly.
And then the next season it struggles. But one bad season. Southampton were a good club last season, or maybe not. Maybe not top table, but they were decent.
This is what I mean.
That's what I mean. By
one
bad season,
Prem.
you're fucked.
They were mid-table Prem, and they did nothing to advance. They didn't.
But they have in the past, and they've tried to. They bought
Southampton's record finish in the Prem?
They bought in really good players. They bought in young, good players. They tried to develop. But if you have one slip up in the Premier League, you have one bad season, you're back in the Championship.
They're also ruthless with managers as well, to be honest.
They are, but who isn't nowadays?
I agree with you, and it's for this reason that I don't think this model of selling players, I think it's always going to backfire eventually. You look at Leicester, happening with Leicester this season, I think could happen with Brighton unless Evan Ferguson signing new contracts, so maybe they're going a different way.
Profit or way to run a business.
But
Premier League clubs are businesses.
But all it takes is one year where those couple of signings that you get to replace those guys don't work,
it just doesn't,
and then you're down. So I just don't think sustainably it works to
be a selling club to just let the top clubs farm.
But then most teams can't afford to just keep all their high they can't afford to sign players for a high price and keep them for a high price.
Be smart with it
when they can get a lot of money for them and bring in new players. But Southampton have been smart for years. That's why they've been in the Premier League for so long. But now this season, it just hasn't worked the way they want it to, and now they're down.
I just think they've received so much money in terms of transfer fees, if you've just said, and I think that the decisions haven't been right. They haven't. You said they brought in young, exciting players, but you've got to have a balance. They haven't brought in talent to keep them up. That's why they are where they are. They've lost so many games of football.
But
they've won 6 games this season. They've won 6 games.
I think this team will go straight back down and come back straight up. I think they're going to win the if they can keep their young players, if they can keep Romeo Lavia, if they can keep Bella Kotchap, they can't keep Will Prowse, surely
they can't keep Will Prowse. But that's part of the thing, because of Southampton, because they look like, well, they are going down on the back of being in the Prem. They've had that Prem football sustainably for a couple of seasons, well, more than a couple of seasons. They're in that situation now where when they go down, them players are Premier League players. They don't want to play in the Championship.
But they're young players, and if Southampton say, if we keep us together, we'll be straight back up. And even if we're not, you guys are going to develop so well down here because you're going to have a quality higher than most of the guys you're playing against.
But then you're going to start getting to where everyone who signs a new contract wants a relegation clause. So if they don't come back up, they get to go.
That happens a lot. And most players do want that, especially if they're signing for a club that has a chance to go down.
I just think it's if you're a club that has a shocking season and goes down, it's almost to your detriment. I think they'll find it. I think Southampton would find it harder to come up next season from the Championship than Fulham would have if Fulham got relegated this season.
Well, that's because Fulham are better than Southampton at the moment.
No, I mean in terms of
Burnley had a terrible season last season, went down, changed their manager, changed their tactics, straight back up, dominated, 100 points.
Yeah, exactly. But because Burnley have consistently been scrapping to stay in the Premier League, whereas Southampton, to be fair, haven't been in relegation battles necessarily for recently. So and their players are established.
But that's because they developed well.
I
just
think
had this one season just hasn't worked,
exactly.
And they're going down.
But and because of that, as a consequence, I think you might see like 3-4 massive exits. Players that
I think
will
you'll
leave.
see Lavia leave, Will-Prowse leave, a few others leave. But I still think they'll have enough
And you think
talent
they'll fly straight back up, win the
I
championship?
do, because
next
they're a well-run club. They're smart in their business. They bring in players for cheap, quality players. Virgil van Dijk,
the bottom of the
Adam
Premier
Lallana.
League.
Yeah, it hasn't worked this season. That's what I'm saying. They've had a bad season, but they're still a well-run club, and I think they'll be back up again, man. I don't think they'll struggle.
I think we'll see them again in the Prem soon. I don't think they'll blitz the championship next season at all.
Maybe not blitz, but I reckon automatic promotion for sure. I think they're a good side. They've shown they're a good side against tough opposition. They're just not consistent because they've got such a young squad.
I think Southampton are a better side than Leeds.
Yeah, so do I.
I think they're a better team than
This
Leeds.
is why it's so odd seeing Southampton.
It's mad to see them bottom of the table, but that's why I think they'll struggle. We talk about Sam Allardyce, by the way.
100% record as England manager.
He's on $500,000 salary for 4 games.
Better at football than Arteta. Better at football than Guardiola.
Oh yeah,
better at football than anyone.
But his football knowledge is on par, isn't it?
It's better, mate.
Well, we discussed when he said that though, and we thought it was quite clever though with it, because he sort of like made it all about him.
Straight
He's
away,
taking all the
straight
pressure
away.
off
He's the
the
headlines.
players.
Pressure's off the players.
Whereas it should be about how Patrick Bamford can't finish. But
Yeah, he's gone shocking actually.
yeah.
I mean, do you reckon he'll do the job?
I mean, it's like Ollie said, it's his bread and butter, isn't it? It's what he does. I just think
I still think Leeds are too poor.
I
I think
think they're-
Nottingham Forest are a much better team. I think Everton are a better team. Leicester are a better team, but again, they're bad.
Leicester's so weird because
Yeah.
you look at their squad and I know Vardy's obviously a bit past it now, but the majority of them.
James Madison's elite.
that's
he's
fantastic.
elite.
Harvey Barnes is great.
Yeah.
It's the spine of the same squad that got them near top 4 like a couple
But
of years
you
ago.
could like so many Premier League teams in the relegation zone have great players. Like Everton have Onana, Pickford, Iwobi. Like they're good players. They're solid
Onana's
players.
Onana's a really good player.
But it's just you slip up a few games and suddenly you're in a relegation battle and you can't get that momentum back. It's tough. It's a very tough league, man.
It's a tough world out there, isn't it?
It is. It's not fair either.
It's a dogfight out there.
Hard fight, bro.
So this fella you've got from Wolfsburg, what's his story?
Yeah,
What's his score?
Jörg Schmatke, I think is how you say it. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's left Wolfsburg yet or he's still there, but he's coming in as it looks like he's coming in as sporting director. But there's been it's weird because like some places have reported he's coming in for 3 months, which is a sporting director for 3 months when the whole point you think of a sporting director
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
is
at all.
long-term
It's all
plan.
about the plan, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was reported he was coming in for 3 months. There's other things saying it's a 3-year contract. But it's mad. Like we had Michael Edwards for 6 years. We had one sporting director for 6 years, and now we've had 3 in 12 months. Julian Ward left after Michael Edwards. People were a little bit concerned at first about this Jörg Schmatke because he's I think the like allegation was he's just Klopp's mate.
Right.
And I think I see one post that they both like this same German band or something. But obviously, you don't get a job at Liverpool like that. I don't think there's that much
Don't you? Because
nepotism.
I mean, it seems like they're just running through directors right now. So maybe they've just got this one in because he likes some band, and
But
then
like,
they're
I
going to get
mean-
rid of him for some guy who likes Henderson.
I'm pretty sure Liverpool wouldn't make. I think it's a football-based decision, 100%. There's obviously something he brings to the table, or he wouldn't get the job. But if he is Klopp's mate, regardless of if he's got the job based on merit, the issue that presents itself there is he going to say no? And I think it's very important in any football club, not just with Jurgen Klopp, that a manager shouldn't be totalitarian. A manager shouldn't have complete power at a football club. I think that's what ended up happening with Arsene
Seem
Wenger.
like Klopp has tenure there now. Because like, where's the
100%.
limit? Like, where
He's-
does he have to get you relegated to get the sack? Like, or does he just have to go? Okay, guys, maybe I'm not as good as I was.
I think
anymore, so I have to go."
he's unsackable for. He could do like this season. The season
What does he
we've
have
had.
to do to get sacked?
it would take a huge. I don't think it's.
I think he's almost earned the right to decide when he
Has he?
goes, hasn't he?
What's he won? Champions League and Premier League?
He's won everything.
I think that's
He's
pretty
won
good.
every trophy available to him.
Once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sound.
And that's good enough. You don't have.
It's a
He
better
doesn't have to win
record.
any more trophies at Liverpool, and he's there for the next 20
No.
years. Does a Wenger, and
I
you're
don't think
still
he'd be there
happy
for
with him.
he wouldn't be there for the next 20 years anyway.
But what if he doesn't want to go? What if who's going to sack him?
I don't think he'll get sacked. I think he'll leave on his own terms. And I think that's fine. Our fan base is fine with that. Everyone loves him. There's no other manager in world football that I think would be better, that Liverpool would make Liverpool better right now.
Yeah, would you sack Klopp?
If would I sack Klopp?
Yeah.
Chelsea would have sacked him already, mate.
Yeah,
Oh, but
exactly.
like,
Chelsea
would
was
you,
on.
We'd have sacked him this
You're in
season.
charge.
I wouldn't sack him now. But if you have another season like this, then I'd be like, ooh, getting thin ice, mate. For
Yeah,
sure.
but another
for sure.
season like this, it's potentially
Well, you don't win
still in the
anything
fourth.
and
Still,
maybe,
still in
yeah.
top four.
If you finish fifth this season though, and you finish fifth next season, no trophies, is that good enough for Liverpool Football Club?
Yeah, I think that's fine considering
Yeah,
it's a rebuild
guess that
period.
is Liverpool's age, isn't it? Like,
It's-
they don't mind being there. They've
It's-
been
it's
there
a-
for most of the
it's-
fucking.
You know,
Since the 70s, they've been there. So
there's
I guess they'll keep it.
there's 100% a little bit of a rebuild period going on. We nearly won every trophy last season. We come closer to a
Nearly being
quadruple
the key
than
word
anyone.
there. Okay, nearly being the
This
key
season,
word there. How many
potentially-
trophies did you end up with?
Potentially still going to come fourth. Potentially still going to get fourth. It's mad that anyone's even discussing sacking Jurgen Klopp. By the way, I think that's absolutely ludicrous. But but yeah, I just think this new sporting director anyway, before Ollie started being a bell, is as long as he says no, I don't think a manager can have total power. I don't think Klopp under Michael Edwards, he definitely didn't. Michael Edwards said no. And I think, yeah, if you get, I think that's what happened at Wenger at Arsenal. I think that's where that went wrong. Wenger was just running the club.
But everyone was back then. Arsenal just kept by him for so long because he won trophies in his first few years. Just like Liverpool are going to do with Klopp in the next 20 years.
And Arsene Wenger's still, the greatest manager in Arsenal history?
Yeah, because he was there
he
for
is.
like half their history.
And there's a reason for that, though, isn't there? There's a reason, there's a reason he was
stuck
there.
for way too long. He was there for too long.
His team are the only
Everyone
team to have
knows
won the
he's there for
Premier
too long.
League invincible.
Yeah,
You know,
he
that's
did that.
fantastic.
And then he stayed another 10 years more.
And they weren't shocking for them 10 years. When he went, they were bad. And
They weren't
obviously
shocking,
they're
but
flying now.
They weren't winning trophies.
But I just think to even present the argument for sacking Klopp we could have 3 of these seasons, and I don't think our fans would want him out. But
I suppose it's a different mentality at Liverpool compared to some of the bigger clubs in England.
God, he's on a wind up today,
on-
isn't he?
he's on a marathon.
Well, it just
Usually-
seems like Liverpool. Like I don't understand how you could be happy not winning trophies for like 5 years, but still say Klopp
Because
deserves to be there.
Sacking
Because
a
he
manager
won
every 6
a manager
months
once.
doesn't
It works. It worked for Chelsea for a long time.
Well, it's not working now.
it's not
is
your
it?
11th.
Nah, this was Roman, man. Different era.
You've got Todd
Different
Butler.
era.
There's different ways to run a club. Like
There's different
Chelsea
ways
have
for
been
sure.
successful doing what they
Yeah.
do and doing short
For a
term.
long
isn't it?
time, very successful.
I mean, I think
Getting
part of that
manager in
success
a
has
few
a lot
years.
to do with
Bringing in
certain Roman
managers.
Abramovich's
Yeah.
oil money. But
Yeah, because he could go out, he'd sack managers, bring in the next best manager, and we just keep winning trophies.
and then
It
say,
worked for a
give
long
me 6
time.
players you want, I'll sign them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. What's wrong with that? That's a great way to run a club. It's a great way to win trophies.
not every club can do that. It's because
No,
you've got
I
a
know.
rich owner. It's
Everyone is a rich owner. You have a rich owner.
obviously we have rich owners. They own football clubs, but we haven't got the financial spending power that Chelsea do.
No, you don't.
Anyway,
Don't get it.
back to this guy. I'm just thinking, if he's Klopp's mate and if it is for 3 months, surely it can't work.
But it wouldn't work. I think it
Yeah.
would just be the 3 months thing. I can't see being
That
true.
can't be
How
true.
can a
I
sporting
can't see
director
it
come
being
in
true.
for 3
You'd
months?
have
It's not
exactly.
even a transfer window.
The only way you think if he was coming in for 3 months, it would probably be not as a sporting director.
Yeah.
It would be similar to what Man United planned Ralph Rangnick to do.
Yeah.
As an advisor to maybe oversee some transfers. Maybe there's deals in the pipeline with other players and they want him to sort of give it a second glance. But
Or it's a stopgap and they've got someone more long term.
someone to come in, maybe halfway through the summer and they need to look at.
I mean, if the 3 months thing is true, it just doesn't make any sense. in
Not
my
at all.
head.
There's no authority.
There's-
If
it's
you-
what's the
pointless.
point?
What is the point of doing it at all? But it is concerning to see why Edwards and Julian Ward left. Our FSG, one of the other top pods, he's the rep for FSG almost. He took a step back, but I think he's sort of back in the picture now. And then it was a couple of months ago, wasn't it? I think we spoke about it on here, where it was Klopp's taking a bigger role and stuff like that. But That appointment's been massive, by the way, for like Liverpool's recent success. Having a good sporting director has been essential. Like Michael Edwards, some of the deals that he pulled off, even in selling players, like the amount of money, I think we got like, was it 20 something million? It might have been a bit less for Dom Solanke to like Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And it was
Jordan
like,
Yeah, but that's more Bournemouth just overspending on players ridiculous.
and like the way we've engineered the players that we've signed and stuff like that. Like we've got, I think there's still, I'm not sure when it expires, but I'm pretty sure there's a clause with Barcelona now that if Barcelona want to sign another Liverpool player for a certain amount of time, there's a massive premium as a result of us selling Coutinho on, and then obviously Suarez a few years before. It's just really, really, really good business decisions. But yeah, this fella, do you know what? I don't know that much about him or it. He might not even take the role. It could just be.
It seems very random. Like 3 months. Why bring him in now as well? Like, doesn't make any sense. The season's finished.
Yeah, exactly. Unless, like as Shay said, he's a stopgap, and they're like, we've got a few deals in the pipeline for the summer. Can you just sort of guide us through this, and then someone comes in? But I don't even know.
So in terms of the football, you're right up our arse.
We certainly are, and we are loving it.
Yeah, you like being up people's arses, don't you? Well, it's fortunate for you that United have no proper centre-backs anymore, which is great for Sevilla, West Ham. De Gea can't seem to save his shot anymore.
De Gea's taking bribes.
Seems to be more United just self-destructing.
It is a little bit. I mean, I've sort of feared, I think I've said before, I fear this would happen, and it's, we've got a good starting 11, but as soon as you pick away at that, there's so many weaknesses in there. I think De Gea, the problem with him is that we're not ruthless enough. And this is where I wish we'd be a bit more like Chelsea, just in this one instance, that we just, there's a bit too much. Yeah.
He's been sacking managers constantly. What do you mean?
No, I'll talk about just De Gea. Like, I feel like United in the past 10 years has been too sentimental with things. I think De Gea's been a great servant to the club, but the time has come. The game has moved on. Even De Gea 5 years ago, he was saving everything. There'd be an argument to move him on anyway.
He was going, wasn't he?
Dean Harrison was told he was... Not Dean Henderson.
Dean Henderson.
He was told he was going to be United's number one.
Yeah, see, with that, it's a bit confusing.
It's a bit awkward now.
It's one awkward because he's spoke against the club, even though what he said wasn't too bad.
Do you think he'd get your fans back, or do you think he's lost it at United?
You come back and you start playing well, you get fans back. No questions asked.
I'd agree with that. And I don't think he's not said anything too bad. He just looks like a dick with what he said, because he looks too big-headed with it. But I almost sort of agree with him. Like he was promised the number one spot, got COVID, and it was sort of like that was forgotten about. So I do almost feel sorry for him, but then he is a dick. So it's hard to feel sorry for him.
Been injured for a while as well now, hasn't he?
Yeah. So I'm not totally against, just because the money we're going to need to invest in a striker and a couple of other positions on the pitch, I'm not totally against giving him another go, just because of that, because it's going to cost too much to replace De Gea in this summer. So it looks like our only option. But
Jack Butland.
Yeah, what about Pickford? If Everton go down,
funny enough, I was saying this to someone the other day, and we were looking at the possibilities. And I was like, if Everton went down, you could get Pickford for what, 20 or 30 million or something. You'd do that easy.
I reckon Ian Meslier from Leeds, get him pretty cheap.
I'm not sure how good he is.
He's great shot stopper, to be fair.
I don't know.
I mean, Leeds concede a lot of shots, which is probably why he looks so great. But
who's the is it Guy? How do you say it? The
Crystal Palace.
Oh no, sorry, he's Gaia.
Yeah.
Gaia.
From where?
Raya.
I've combined about 3 players there. He's fantastic. He's a really good player.
But I think you'd have to spend a lot to get him out of Brentford, though.
Yeah, definitely. Because definitely,
they're not in any risk of getting in trouble anytime soon.
Brentford's are flying.
But anyway, back to the point that the squad's looking thin. So I think we're sort of like stumbling over the line at the minute, and it's got to the point now where we're getting close to must-win games. I mean, Wolves on Saturday is a massive game.
Surely every game now is a must-win. If you want top 4, every game has to be a must-win game.
We've basically got 3 home games left. So if we win all them 3, I think mathematically, I don't think Liverpool can catch us.
It's in your hands for sure, mate.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't worry about that. It's in your hands.
It's in our hands.
That debate again.
But you've got to keep winning. And you're not winning. So
I know. So that's what I mean. Wolves.
What is it? You're a point ahead at the minute with a game in hand.
Yeah. So I'd say we can afford to lose one game, but we've got.
You can't really.
You
Not at this
can't.
point of the season. Like,
So-
you've got to just keep getting the results. The
Wolves-
West Ham game was the one that you lost.
To be fair, it's exactly
Keep
the same
losing.
situation realistically as City Arsenal at the minute, isn't it? The title
Yeah,
race is
yeah,
mathematically
it's
is the
almost
same as Liverpool, Man United. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's just we're not quite as good as City. It's the only worry I've got. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on it? Do you reckon you'll just pip us or?
It went from like when you looked at it, it was like, wow, it's a lot of games that we need to win every year. And now it's like 3 more, just 3 more, 3 wins. We don't even look fantastic in our last 2 games. We've won, and that's actually quite reassuring that we can win the little scrappy games. I think we will catch you. I also have my eye on Newcastle because like they're not.
Yeah, well, they get forgotten about though.
Everyone sort of forgot about them
I still
because
think they're on great.
they're
form,
above
but
Man
I don't
United
think
on the table.
I don't think you're much more likely to catch United than you are Newcastle.
Yeah, we were looking at their runs, weren't we? I do think.
Well, I got 'em here.
I think Newcastle's run isn't easy, to be
It's
honest.
not. I mean,
Leeds are going to be playing out their skin. They need to win.
Same with Leicester. That they've got
Yeah, but really, like Newcastle aren't a team that's going to slip up to these bad teams. Look at what they've done against Tottenham and Arsenal. Like Arsenal, obviously they lost, but like they're going to these teams, they're getting results. They got the results against Everton. They got results against Southampton. I don't think this team is going to be slipping up for Newcastle because this is their only thing. This is the only thing they've got left. United still got to worry about the FA Cup.
It's
Newcastle just got to focus
in
on
terms
these
of
3
them.
games.
Yeah, but it's the two with Newcastle that I've got my eyes on are Leicester and Leeds simply because their situations are so desperate.
More so than Brighton.
I think so. I think Brighton are amazed where they are anyway. They can't. They had games in hand on us where if they'd won, they'd have actually caught us, but they can't now. I think. I just looking at Leeds and Leicester. I think their situations and how that shapes up by the time they play Leicester, particularly, could be mad. They
St
could be
James's
2
Park
crazy
isn't
games.
going to let them rest on their laurels against Leicester.
I don't think they'll particularly get it. I think
No.
them Leicester players, if they get to that game and it's like today we could get relegated because by then they could potentially get mathematically relegated on the day. If they could stay up or go down on that day.
If Newcastle have lost before then they're going to think the same. If we have to win this to get the Champions League, and if they don't lose before that, then I don't think 1 loss is enough.
I just think look at Everton last week, what Everton did, and like that's the type of situations that you get into with Leeds and Leicester, and I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle. I think it's a big ask for Newcastle to not drop points in any of them games. I think they'll probably drop points. Whether we can catch them is a different story.
Like, even if they do, is that enough to catch them?
I think we'd need Newcastle to
lose
2, whereas we need technically draw 1, lose 1 now.
Yeah, or 2 draws.
Or 2 draws.
Yeah, 'cause your goal difference is better than ours.
Yeah.
Well, I think Newcastle will stay in top 4. I'm not sure about United and Liverpool. I think that's going to come very close. I think that's going to be cutting it fine.
Which, again, I keep talking about this FA Cup final, but I actually think for the FA Cup final could be a good thing because one worry I had is that if we wrapped up top 4, we'd be switching off a bit towards the end of the season. Whereas it looks like we're gonna have to go right to the end of the season.
Keep you on your toes,
You know, that momentum hopefully carries through.
The golden side of finishing 5th, if you like, is that next season's Europa League finals in Dublin.
I've heard this. That sounds like
which would
sounds
be
great,
an
that,
absolute
doesn't it?
belter, I think, to be honest.
That would be class.
That'd be crazy.
Champions League final in Wembley next season.
Is it?
It's either next season or the season after, something like that.
I don't know.
Might be 2024. Yeah.
But yeah, no. To be honest, I think just from looking at Liverpool at the minute, we just look like we keep finding a way to win, and that's like to the end of the season. That's fine with me, as long as we keep finding a way to win. And I think we probably will. I think we'll pip Newcastle or Man United. I think Man United seems more likely at the minute form wise, but I wouldn't take my eye off Newcastle, to be honest.
No. Well, we'll have to see. But one player. Well, Chelsea's season's basically fucking over. We got the 3 points we
Basically.
needed, and we're mathematically safe. So we can just move on now. End the season here, fine.
I was looking at this the other day. If Liverpool had beat Chelsea both times we played Chelsea this season instead of drawing, we'd be well in the top 4 and you'd be in a relegation fight.
Yeah, it's a shame that you just can't score against us. Everyone seems to struggle to score against Chelsea, to be fair. Our defence isn't the issue at all. There's always been our attack.
Do you think Pochettino's coming in?
Yeah, I think he will come in. It seems to be like they're just focused on getting Poch through the door now. Like I think I saw something like that. By the end of this week, they're going to announce that it's Pochettino next season, and I love that. At first, I was a bit like, "Oh, Spurs." Not sure I want that, but he will take our players and he will make them great. I think like the way he did with Harry Kane, he did it with Dembele, he did it with Dele Alli, went crazy underneath Poch, and he makes fullback so good as well. So I think Poch is going to be great.
It's probably
great
what you
addition.
need as well, a manager who's happy to work with what's there, because there's no way another manager can come in and start building his own new squad at Chelsea now.
Yeah, but because originally I was so like Luis Enrique is the guy, but I think I was still thinking Chelsea are title challengers, and I think we are. I think we can be title challengers within like next year. I think we're going to be very much up there in the top 4. But I think Poch is the guy that's going to do it, because he's so good at taking a squad that's not in the best of form, not doing too well. Chelsea aren't Chelsea right now. We need a manager that's going to develop these players and turn them into winners. Because right now we're not winners. We're not even scoring. And if Lukaku can come in and he can gel Lukaku into this team, I think Chelsea are going to be very scary next season, especially considering we're not going to be anywhere near European football. So we can focus on them.
That's the shout, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got no European football, so that... Yeah, but...
If we're playing one game a week, the main thing is we have to cut our squad down by at least like 10 players. Because we've got, from the start of next season, with Nkunku coming in, all our loan players back, including Lukaku, we're going to have 44 players on our books.
Fuck.
All we need is like 26. So we got to get rid of like almost 20 players.
Who's going then? Who's like?
Name me 20 players now.
Just
Callum Hudson-Odoi.
give me some of the big names that you reckon might go.
If we can get 60 mil for Mason Mount, 50 mil, because we need to sell. We need money.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell Mount, really. I like the guy. I think he's had a bad season, but he's had a lot on his mind. The whole team's had a bad season. I'd want him, but if we can get big money for him, then we've kind of got to take it, realistically. I think we could get some money for Mendy, maybe, get some money for... Conor Gallagher, we can get money for him. Whether we probably should, because he's technically not the best, but at the same time, he's scoring decisive goals for Chelsea that
Every
are putting
time
us
Chelsea
in the league.
score, I feel like
it's Conor Gallagher. He's scored like, if we score a goal in a game, that's not just a consolation goal. He's the one like scoring it.
Yeah.
Like Thaddeus Shields made it 2-1, but he's made it 1-0 in our last 2 games where we've been 1-0 up. You know.
I'd just like to round back though to what you just said about. Do you genuinely think as soon as next season that Chelsea team challenges for the title?
Obviously, I need to see our transfer window first. But if
do you think you need to buy more players?
No, I think we have to sell players.
Right, that's what you're right.
Yeah, I think we have to sell players, and I'd like a new goalie, realistically. Maybe an extra, a new goalie, I think is important. Because I don't think I like Kepa enough. He's all right, but he's got a lot of mistakes in him, and he seems to always get beaten from long range, which just isn't really what you want from a goalie. You don't want him just shooting and then going in. And he's just too prone to mistakes, and if we genuinely want to compete for a title, he's not the guy that's going to be in net, you know? Like, he's too prone to stopping mistakes.
Do you think like is it okay for a new manager to come in if next season you challenge for top 4, season after you go get because you've got talented individuals, but you need to make that team work. So will Chelsea fans be okay with a new manager coming in and saying, listen, let's be realistic, we're not fighting for a title straight away, we've got to let's have a cup run, let's go for top 4.
They'll say that, yeah, but if Chelsea just need to, we don't need to look at the table, we just need to look at the match. We just need to see how Chelsea are playing, because this season's been fucking rough for Chelsea fans, and any kind of improvement, if we're just scoring goals, Chelsea fans are going to love it. We win 3-1 at Bournemouth, we're acting like we've won the league. You know what I mean? Like we're starving right now. All we need is goals, and if Pochettino's going to come in and get the team scoring goals, then Chelsea fans are going to love him. Me personally, I want Poch for a couple years, and then move on to an elite league-winning manager, Champions League-winning manager. That's mad.
That's mad.
That is a mad
But it's
statement.
Chelsea,
I'd have
isn't it?
Poch for a few years
Chelsea-
to sort everything
but
out, sack him, and then get
Yeah,
someone in to look nice and win a few trophies. What?
mate. If Poch has a ceiling for me, he did it. He went to Tottenham.
If you're looking at a
messed
manager
up,
and go, he's got a ceiling, but we need to be above that ceiling, why do you want him?
because we're nowhere near that ceiling right now. We've had a bad season, but we're still Chelsea Football Club. We just need to develop these young players. If we can get them playing properly, if Poch wins some trophies, then yeah, sure, let's keep him. But if we go 3 seasons under Poch, we're not winning trophies, but we're playing well. Maybe we've got like a league cup somewhere.
You essentially
Then, yeah,
want
we
an
move
interim
up.
manager for like 4 years, basically.
Nah, I'd rather him for 2.
That's mad.
But that's But if
Chelsea
if he
fans
starts
are
winning-
actually talking about sacking a manager that isn't even confirmed to be their manager yet. That
yeah.
is,
It's like you've got a 3-story house that he's renovating, and Poch is going to do the
Maybe I'm
basement.
being greedy, but if
But he
Poch
doesn't
comes in
specialise in-
and wins,
in
then sure, keep
Lofts.
him.
He don't specialise in loft refurbishment.
We did.
I was
we did,
dying
we
to
did,
see how
we
you
did-
turn that metaphor around then.
Mate, 2 years ago we were making
Doesn't
bloody
do
chimneys.
lofts.
You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
were winning Champions Leagues. It's just one bad season and people think Chelsea are finished. We had a bad season in 2015-16. We won the league the next season. Don't count Chelsea off. If Chelsea can get a few things right, because we've all watched Chelsea, we know it's not a creating chances issue. We know it's not a keeping clean sheets defending issue.
It's a
It's a
finishing
scoring
issue.
issue.
Yeah.
If we can bring in Lukaku, genuinely gel him into a squad, get a firm 11, we know who our best 11 players are, and we don't have another first 11 that are trying to get on the pitch, then Chelsea can for sure challenge for a title next season.
You're still conceding goals as well. Do you know what I mean? And like as you said, the competition at Chelsea is not an issue because there's so many players. But like usually when you've got competition, you think that every player's thinking. You think more so at Chelsea when you've got 4 players that could take your share.
Yeah, but
you'd be going fucking hell.
But
It doesn't seem to be the case. Like Lampard, I feel like has his group of mates, not his favourites, and they play.
Who?
Mount.
He hasn't played.
Oh, he's injured. That's why. But
I don't know what you're saying there because he's had a different first 11
We
like
did it
every
last time.
single game.
but
He doesn't
even that-
he doesn't know who his mates are. He doesn't know who's playing well. Noni Madueke has come
know
in
who
and
his
started
mates
playing
are.
well. He doesn't. He doesn't know.
Snakes in the grass.
Chelsea don't know who their best players are, and we can't work out who our best players are because they're on for 90 minutes and then they're out for 2 games, and then they're on and then they're out and then they're on, then they're out. There's too much competition. It's not healthy. Having 44 players, having players that can't even fit in the dressing room, getting changed
That is
outside,
mad. That is mad.
It's not healthy. It doesn't work, and it clearly hasn't.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. I do think that no Europe next season could be big. Like,
I think-
to
Yeah,
help-
it could work
help
in your
whoever
favour
is in
massively.
charge.
And this squad is it's talented. If we can streamline it, get Lukaku properly into the squad, Chelsea are going to be dangerous, man.
So it's mad, isn't it? How like the big 6, if you like, issues can vary. Like imagine being in a position where you've got too many players.
I know that.
Yeah.
That is mental.
Well, I feel like a lot like big teams do have too many players, but Chelsea just they went crazy, man. Todd Bowley just thought it was career mode, bro.
Anyway, anyone been watching any other shit
Just the-
as it says
All
on
the
there?
shit, as the agenda says. I believe you have been keeping a little eye on the NBA playoffs.
I've been watching the NBA
Is this
playoffs.
me?
Well,
I
you
thought you
told me
had,
you've
haven't
been
you?
watching the Warriors.
I said I
Lakers
knew of a
games.
score which wasn't even.
You didn't even know
correct.
the which was
So-
wrong. That's a good point.
There
I've been
is a
watching the
team
NBA.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Warriors and Lakers have been facing off against each other. Looks like a good series, man. I like the Celtics and the Heat though. I think the Miami Heat could win it all. Jimmy Butler, Michael Jordan's alleged son. I don't know. Nah, it's not true. That's just a conspiracy. But yeah, it's exciting stuff, man. It's because my sleep schedule's been so messed up that I'm just up at 4 a.m. So I'm like,
Watching NBA.
let's watch the playoffs. Let's watch the
So
NBA.
I've watched just before the playoffs. I watched some of it like the end of the regular season, but I haven't kept an eye on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just the timing. I don't have time to get into
It
it.
is.
You know what? It's fun to watch as well.
It's so
I love watching
exciting.
Well,
NBA.
is that,
They're all-
if you were American, do you reckon you'd be into basketball?
yeah,
I think it'd be my main sport.
I think it'd be my main
Yeah,
sport,
for
definitely.
sure.
I don't think I'd
Apart
be
from like
asked about
UFC,
NFL.
but-
No, yeah.
Nah, I
can't-
like.
can't
I was
get into
more
NFL.
NFL when I was a kid, but like the older I've got, I way prefer basketball.
Do you know what? there's loads of people seem to love baseball, don't they? Baseball's massive, and in fact, there's a few lads here that we know of that are into baseball. But
I don't understand it. But to be fair, I also hate cricket, so maybe I'm not the best person to ask.
I've never watched baseball, to be fair.
It's hard for us to get into American sports because they're all on at 3 a.m.
Yeah. At basketball,
Basketball's really exciting. I'll tell you what's quite good is that you can watch like classic games on YouTube. And it takes out all the breaks because someone will get injured and they'll be watching the foul for like 10 minutes. Imagine VAR times 10. It's like that in the NBA. It's tough. But then you watch the 1998 All-Star game on YouTube and you got Kobe doing backwards passes and then jumping in a skyhook. It's great.
It's just because obviously like we complain about, don't we, like NFL's very stop start, and like obviously in basketball there's breaks constantly, and like timeouts and stuff. But at the same time, like there's always something happening. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's entertaining.
It's pure action and then you stop for a bit, and then pure action and then you stop for a bit.
I like it. It's cool to watch, but
I don't understand how they can watch that and like America's been into that, fair enough. But then they think football's boring. It's like, well, football doesn't have that.
Well, that's a debate in itself recently, isn't it?
Yeah,
the average time of the balls in play in the Premier League games like 57 minutes.
I saw quite a funny thing. Americans complaining about football being low scoring, saying like, "Oh, it's 2-1," but you just make your one try. Like American football, you score a point, you get 6 points.
Yeah.
Like it's not 27-26, it's 3-2. Like what?
That's a good point.
They have like they do like, whereas like we have like fantasy football and stuff, they do like their NFL like fantasy drafts, don't they? And they have like little parties in each other's houses.
Yeah.
To fucking, like if it comes to a limit where all right, you meet up and you have a pint to watch the football and stuff. But if you've got to do too much to make watching it bearable,
but
it's
I feel
obviously crap in it.
But they just like, they don't really go to like a pub. They'll like have a party at their house, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's just more their culture.
That's why
Also, I'm so down for like a massive like FA Cup final Wembley and everyone's just like at your yard.
Yeah, no,
drinking beer,
100%. But I wouldn't be like with a fucking clipboard going who gets first pick on their fantasy team. You know?
And also, I'd be game for that too because that sounds fun too.
But as I was saying that, I was like,
yeah.
Anyone watched any films?
I think you might have watched it.
I have watched some. It's funny you mention that, actually.
You seem to have seen the most interesting film.
I finally watched that, Cocaine Bear. And you know what?
Why has that been brought up on this podcast?
Multiple, I don't know.
Like 3 times.
This is a good...
Shay's been edgy to talk about it.
Yeah,
I think he's
it's
done a
good
line
ending to the story arc of Cocaine Bear. I've actually watched it for once. I liked it, but for a strange reason that it was a bit shit, but it sort of knew it was shit, and played on that. And I think it's one of those films that you probably have to be in the mood for. It's not like a classic film, or it's not like a Goodfellas or something like that. But
something to watch with your mates.
Yeah, it was just.
That's quite. What's her name? Elizabeth Banks is the director, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's quite like that as an actress, isn't she?
Yeah,
she's in like teen comedies and stuff. Like she knows it's shit, but it's funny and it works.
Sounds a little bit like a Fire Stick film, lads. To be honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I watched it on.
YouTube.
Shit, we'll have to cut that out. But yeah, it was
paid for it, obviously. Amazon Fire Stick.
Yeah. Sorry,
of course. Yeah. Lots of legitimate apps on Fire Stick.
It was good. I enjoyed it. That's that.
You're gonna watch the long-awaited Cocaine Shark, the sequel.
Yeah. Well, see, this is where.
How can that work? Because like. It's wet. It's gonna be wet, isn't it? Cocaine. How can you snort wet cocaine?
It's gonna be wet. I don't think the shark snorts it, Ollie.
Then what if? Did he eat it or something?
To be fair, the bear was like mixing up his approach with it. He was half snorting it, half just fucking eating
He had bear ways to do
bag of it. It was mad. I
Did you find out if it's based on a true story?
Well, I found out the actual details of the true story. It is true, but it's basically. It's
just a really hairy guy.
Well, no, the film starts off. I won't spoil
really hairy gay guy.
I won't spoil it for anyone that wants to watch it. But the film starts off with like this like drug guy shoving out cocaine from a plane, which is like what he did. I think it's set in the 80s or something. That's what he did, and then they'd tell you where they dropped it, so then the people would go and grab it or whatever. But this guy, as he jumps out his parachute, knocks himself out and he dies. And that is a true story. Like the guy that was dropping the cocaine out dies. So the dealers that were meant to be picking up didn't know where it was. They just knew it was somewhere in this big forest. And basically the actual story is they found a bear dead that had loads of cocaine in it, they reckon it was active for like 2 hours.
Where it was like the most lethal animal on the planet.
But it didn't actually kill anyone or was nowhere near anyone basically.
You know.
But that's the disappointing real story.
I reckon it killed a few squirrels though. I reckon we went mad on some squirrels.
Was that a moose getting mauled or something?
A moose is a big animal, bro.
I don't know, but a bear.
A moose is a big.
A coked up bear.
Oh, I'm
and a
sure it would win in
moose.
the fight, but just. I feel like they'd have found a carcass of a moose that had been ripped apart by a cocaine bear. Right.
I think don't you reckon that a bear would beat anything in the fight? In fact, no, they don't.
Not a honey badger, surely.
Apparently, elephant beats everything, which is
because
weird.
elephants are like
fucking
massive.
massive.
because of the size.
Yeah.
It's like a tank, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't beat a Chuck Norris either, mate. Gee.
Wow.
Still, I still think I'd back the underdog on a big ass gorilla to do a bear in. To be honest,
They wouldn't do it.
You think gorillas are made of
this for context,
pure-
by the way, is
loyal customers?
a debate
mate.
that's happened
Seen
like
it, seen
4
it in
times.
Episode 1.
Was it episode 1 we had that conversation? Yeah.
Like, the problem
Gorilla does a bear in.
The problem you have with a gorilla is that they've got skin similar to ours that like tears quite easy. With a
Right.
bear's claws, it would just shreds.
Gorilla also weighs like a ton and it's
Yeah.
smart. It could choke it out.
Gorillas aren't that smart.
Not that smart.
I don't know why you think they're so, they haven't made AK-47s.
Gorillas are smart. Gorillas are smart. King Kong beats Godzilla, doesn't he? So
Well, it's that thing where people say animals are
Neither
smart.
are real things. Godzilla's not like what?
It's like
King Kong beats gorilla, therefore a gorilla beats a bear.
Yeah,
That's not the same
people saying animals are smart is like, well,
compared
They're
to
not,
a
are they?
dung beetle. Sure,
I don't know.
but
I know a
like-
few people that I reckon have a lower IQ than several fucking dolphins in SeaWorld, to be honest.
Dolphins are mean. Dolphins are so illegal, man. They do some messed up shit.
That's getting clipped. That dolphins,
Dolphins
are
are
mean.
mean, bro.
Dolphins are
I didn't want to
mean.
swear, but I swore like straight away after. So I don't know.
do you believe in that?
Thing
What's it
called
called?
love.
That giant shark? That
A
megalodon.
megalodon.
Oh,
what do
that's
you mean?
where
Do you
they found
believe in
proof,
it?
bro.
It's not fucking Father Christmas, Shay. It's a prehistoric shark.
Oh yeah, but like,
Do you believe in
sorry,
it?
Sorry, do you believe it's still around?
No.
It's
Okay.
not.
Cheers, guys. Right, we'll see you next
See you
week.
later. Bye.